as an Indigenous person, I want to create a change in not just my life, but in my family's life. I was born with the name Angel Helen Baribeau. My dad, when I was a little bit older, he disclosed to me that he named me Angel after his favorite working woman. And that for me really tainted the name. If anything, it made me feel ashamed. I already had my reservations about it because it's a biblical name with the context of colonization coming over and taking over our entire lives. I personally don't have a lot of love for Christianity. I was in a car with another trans non-binary person, and they were the first trans non-binary person that I'd ever met. They asked me if I liked the name Angel, and I told them no, I don't. They told me if I could choose a name for myself, what would the name be? I thought about this boy in high school whose name is River, and I always thought that was so beautiful. But I wouldn't want it to be an English name. I'd want it to be an N'we Jinan. I'd want it to be in Cree. The Cree word for river is Siibii. I'm from Mistissini, which is super inland. If you touch the middle of a map of Quebec, you would probably touch Mistissini. And even though it's landlocked, I grew up around so many sources of fresh water. Eeyou Istchee is covered in waterways. That's how my people navigated traveling and traversing all that land. For me, it just felt natural to honor my identity as an Eeyou, my identity as a trans non-binary person, but also my identity as someone who just fucking loves water. It makes me happy to think now all of my catalog stuff, all of what the world will perceive me as is no longer going to be Angel Baribeau, it's going to be just Siibii. And that for me is so gratifying, makes me so proud. I guess I grew attached to the city mentality or the city lifestyle. I've always had an affinity toward Montreal. I've said before, it's my favorite city. There's something about these tiny apartments. I love these little neighborhoods because they feel so cozy. They feel so like what you see in storybooks. Right, hello, bonjour, wadeg. This is my home in Montreal. This is my office. I say office because I never actually work in it. So this has become kind of the pet corner. This is my wall of memories. These are my loved ones and pets. This is really the actual amount of space that I need in my life. This is really it. This is where I inhabit. I live basically right here, smoking my joints, living my life. This is the yard I don't use because the neighbors kind of colonized it. I was gonna use this place as a herb garden, but then they told me that they're gonna use the whole thing for a pool that they're never gonna clean. I didn't say that last part, but I did. I definitely struggle with the Indigenous identity out here, especially being an urban Indigenous person where I don't have regular access to language, I don't have regular access to culture. That's really hard. I'll call my mom or my family members just to hear them speak in Cree because it's so not accessible here. And so it's hard to find community here. That's, I'd say, the biggest downside for me is not having access to my people so easily or in safe contexts. I think what's kind of cool about this song is there is kind of a little bit of grief, but it's also reclaiming my own sexual power, which I like for someone like me or someone who's both Indigenous, queer, and fat. I've not seen enough stories that involve faces and bodies like mine, especially when expressing love and sexual love and healthy sex. So for me, that was the goal of this song, to address those things and link it back to where I come from.
When I was young, I saw love as a game. Didn't know how to show I was worth anything. Did my song and my dance like a puppet on a string. Now I'm awake, nothing's the same.
1, 2, 3.
Give me 1,
2, 3, 4.
I've always longed for. Dipping you up in Dante's Versace. Give me what I have longed for. Dipping you up in Dante's Versace.
Writing my song was mostly 9 months of banging my head against a wall, but then a solid good 2-3 hours of writing with Mel and Dari, which was really lovely.
I never saw myself as worthy, only told stories. We were ugly and dirty, never saw love on display. Didn't know there could be another way. Now I demand it, cause I'm not to blame. I will no longer carry the burden of shame.
I wanted my version song to relate to my project. My project is about accessing sexual health education and services.
I chose to specifically address the inaccessibility of sex ed and sexual health resources. In my community, there are really high rates of sexual assault, really high rates of teen pregnancies, and just a lot of kids having kids. And unfortunately, I believe in 2004, Quebec removed the mandate for sex education to be included in Quebec curriculum. So that means that schools didn't have to prioritize providing these classes. In creating and maintaining sex ed classes, you're essentially doing preventative work. It isn't a huge injustice, the fact that when I was going to high school, there was almost no sex ed at all.
My aspirations as an artist are to create generational wealth. And the reason I want to create generational wealth is because my family lives in generational poverty. I think that creating wealth that benefits not only myself, I'm ending cycles that have been super, super harmful and just have continued for too long.
I feel like I've been talking to all my loved ones about this fellowship.
Being in those sessions felt so validating. I felt so seen, and I don't feel that way in that specific context very often, because people like the music, people like the sounds, sure, but they don't want to talk about what myself and my family have to live through every fucking day. I felt that it was really meaningful to bridge the conversation of sexual health and relationships and what it looks like or what it feels like to experience it for the first time. Because of the ADHD stuff, I leave so much unfinished. So when I finish something, and not only did I finish it, but do I feel proud of it? There is nothing I can equate to that.